I had moved into this small house. And when I say a small house, like a one room old house. And then um, I don't exactly know where I was, but I know people were saying, oh, you don't need to live there. You need to move out of there. And I was like, no, no, I find the place very charming. And the next thing I know, there's all these different people there in the house. And a couple of them I recognized, but they looked different. Um, they were much taller, much thinner. And when I say thin, I mean, I'm talking like really, really super thin and very tall. I'm over 6 foot. And they were, kind of cleaning things. And one woman, she was at the stove, and I particularly remember the stove. It was a white stove oven, and it seemed to run off of gas. And but what was so unusual was there was literally blue flames that came off the back of this thing, and this thing was like kind of freestanding away from the walls. And I looked at the woman; she was cooking something there, and I was like, I think that's a little dangerous. I think it might be up too high there. The flames are just, these blue flames were just bursting out the back of this thing. And she was like, well, yeah, you're probably right. I'll turn it down. The next thing I know, I don't know where these people came from. The first question is, what are these people doing in my house? But I obviously never said that. So the next thing I know, this house, it expanded, and it turned into like this huge mansion, and just old mansion. And I had no idea this was here. And then this woman sits down with me and she goes, well, there's some people that are wanting to destroy this place and destroy the tomb. I'm thinking, tomb, what the heck? And and she said, we have put it in your name because we know you'll make sure that that doesn't happen. And I'm like, oh, okay. I have no idea what these people are talking about. And the next thing I know, I'm like in one of the lower rooms of this house, and it's dark, and this woman, this very tall, thin woman, is up there, and she said, this is what we're trying to protect. And I said, what are you talking about? And she says, we're bringing them back. And I'm thinking, bringing who back? And I'm thinking, okay, are they talking about some kind of strange reincarnation thing? Oh no, no, that's not what they were talking about at all. They were, and I was seeing kind of the process of what they were doing, and they were literally bringing those back that had died before in their literal form, as they were. We're talking about some type of crazy, resurrection type thing. And I'm thinking, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. And I guess it all depends who you're bringing back. But obviously, this tomb had the power of resurrection. So that was the end of the first one. Then last night, had a crazy night. Decided to finally go to bed, call it a night. Oh no, we had the raccoons, we had the possum, we had the cats prowling around. The dog was barking. I think I finally dozed off at 3 in the morning. And then we get to this one. I am with a few people at this older house, and the family is in jeopardy of losing everything. And the parents had done passed away. And I was with an older woman, gray haired woman. She had her hair kind of up, and then there was a few other people. They were just kind of in the background. And then this other man, very cynical, heavy set, gray hair. Um, but according to the family, the father had left them, I guess, a fortune somewhere, somehow. Um, but nobody knew where it was. And we were looking through these rooms, and in this one room, it was a small, dark room, old wood, and it was nighttime. And I looked up on the shelf, and there was this clock, and it was just a square, very simple square clock, but the inside of it was very three-dimensional. It had the, it was almost like a clock. Inside the clock, it was like the clock was suspended in space, just this dark space. And you saw a little bit of light around it, but then you saw the hands of the clock and the time. And I specifically remember the clock. It was at 11:36 p.m. And I'm looking there, and that older man, he was like, "Oh, give me that thing." He goes, I'm smashing it. This is ridiculous. This isn't getting us anywhere. And but I remember seeing a clock not three-dimensional like this, but very similar inside the house. And I was like, "No, don't touch it." And I looked over, and there was some papers, and it said, "Look through the looking glass at such and such time," and I can't remember what time it said, but and you will find it. And I looked at the clock, like I said, I remember it saying 11:36, and I go, "It's almost that time." And I picked up this glass. It was a looking glass. It was a square looking glass, though. It was, oh, about the size of, a baseball. And at that time, I held it up and I looked out the window, and I saw this, like a golden light, but you could only see it by looking through this looking glass. So we skipped forward because I don't know what happened. I don't know exactly how we got there, but we ended up, it was like an underground bunker. It was all concrete, nothing in it whatsoever. And we're there in this bunker. I think I could tell we were underground. But by the door, there was probably a 2 foot long, rectangular type. And on one side of it was like this stone, and it was round, and it kind of had some curves to it. I wasn't really close to it, so I couldn't really see in detail. The woman was standing beside it. And on the other side of it was this very polished black, um, like stone, almost like black slate. And there was a figure on it, very detailed, very brilliant in color, gold and red. And there was writing there, and she was reading it. And then I noticed that a door opened up behind me on the back wall. And I was like the first one that looked in there. And I remember saying, I was like, "Oh my gosh." I was like, "It's Medusa." So I go in there, and there is this huge 10 to 20 foot long stone structure. Everything's been carved into it. There's symbols, there's writing, but on the right hand side, there's this big, huge head of Medusa. And then there's a table, and with a lot of paperwork. And there was a picture of the man's wife when she was younger. Apparently, when they found it, and she was in a village with a lot of crude stone structures, and she was in front of this thing, and she was cleaning it off. And I said, "This thing has got to be worth a fortune." And of course, the cynical man behind me said, "Nobody's going to pay anybody for this. They'll probably say it's stolen." And I was like, "No, because the picture and documents prove that they found this." So, crazy dreams. Let me know.